He was head of the Catholic Church for 12 years. Now people around the globe are bidding farewell to Pope Francis, the leader of 1.4 billion faithful. A significant number of them live in Latin America.
I was at work and saw it on the news, and I thought, what? Excuse me? I couldn't believe it.
He was the first pope to come from Argentina. For many, he was a symbol of hope for reform and renewal, particularly in his hometown, Buenos Aires.
There's no other like him, and there never will be. He stood up for the poor, not like the others.
What do people here make of his legacy, and how are they mourning their Pope Francis? They've come in search of spiritual comfort. A memorial mass at the Virgen de los Milagros de Caacupé in Buenos Aires. Many here knew Francis long before he became Pope. His death on Easter Monday has been hard for them to fathom.
The Padre says we'll hold a mass for him today. For sure we'll be crying and holding each other.
He showed us which was the path to follow. He was very important in helping the neighborhood come together again. Back then, there were a lot of rivalries here.
The parish lies in the Villa 21-24 district, an impoverished part of Buenos Aires. Thousands of families live here. It's a social flashpoint. For years, the Catholic parish has been fighting drug-related crime, trying to keep young people away from gang life. It was here that the work began for a man who would go on to change the world, Jorge Bergoglio, known today as Pope Francis. He came here often, without pomp and ceremony, on foot or by bus. Father Lorenzo de Vedilla, known as Padre Toto, is parish priest of the largest church here. He met Francis many times. Together they would transform this neighborhood.
He kept us strong and helped us develop the neighborhood. He helped with the construction of the school, supported the vocational center, and was present at the inauguration of the Hogar de Cristo. He always helped out in a lot of ways, even financially, across many of our projects.
Not far from here is Flores, the neighborhood where Francis was born and raised. After the news of his death, many have come to his childhood home to feel closer to him.
I wanted to visit the places where he walked, where he used to be. He was a very important person for Argentina, for all of humanity. He was the Holy Father. He represented God on earth.
Jorge Bergoglio was the son of Italian immigrants born in Buenos Aires in 1936. He worked as a janitor and chemical technician before choosing the priesthood. A Jesuit, he devoted himself to the poor, wanting to work closely with the people. He became Archbishop of Buenos Aires at age 61.
Historically, bishops only came to the villas for ceremonial reasons, blessing a new parish or a confirmation. They'd be brought here by chauffeur, but he came humbly on bus number 70. He drank mate with the people who were involved, shared food with them, and so on.
News of his death has come as a shock for many here, especially at the soup kitchen, which he regularly visited.
My best memory is of my confirmation. I had the privilege of having him lead the ceremony. Whenever he came here, he'd visit both the church and the soup kitchen. He always said this needed to be continued for our children.
Many here are reliant upon meals provided by the church. They called their archbishop simply El Padre.
He was very humble. He was like us. No, more than that. He was one of us. Today's news, it came like a slap in the face. I couldn't believe it. He was leading Mass just yesterday. He'd sit at this table, eat with us. He shared so much with us.
Everyone here knew him as a man who was familiar with these streets, who listened. Even though he never returned after becoming Pope, the people still feel deeply connected to him.
A few years back, before he became Pope, he'd come to eat at Rita's soup kitchen. He always had his little black briefcase, worn-out jeans, and those same worn shoes. You can't imagine how attentive he was. He gave me his blessing. Whenever I have a problem, I think back to that moment and pray to him. And I feel better again. The love he had for this neighborhood, the love he had for the children, for everyone. He was a pure pope, a pope for the poor. He was the priest of the poor.
Then in 2013, a moment that stunned the world, Jorge Bergoglio was elected Pope. After over 1,000 years, the first non-European, the first Jesuit, it signaled a change in the Catholic Church.
Brothers and sisters, good evening.
Buonasera.
Even as Pope, he remained himself, approachable, humble. He refused the trappings of luxury.
I've always carried my own bag. That's normal.
He initiated a process of reform. For some, though, it didn't go far enough. Equal rights for women? Celibacy? Here, no major progress has been made. But others believe he set important milestones for interfaith dialogue, for peace, for refugees, for climate protection. And he was the first pope to open the church to trans people. A shelter for trans women, Casa Animi in Buenos Aires, supported by the Catholic Church, with Francis's blessing. A safe space for many who otherwise don't have one. But there was also criticism, especially at home, on the issue of abuse. Sebastián Quattromo founded an Argentine organization that defends the rights of victims of sexual abuse. He too was abused as a child at a Catholic school. The perpetrator was a member of the religious order.
For me, there's a before and after. It was deeply traumatic. For me, as with so many who fall victim to child abusers, it came with shame, suffering, and guilt. As a youth, I couldn't put that pain into words. I felt like I couldn't tell anyone. In my case, it had a lot to do with that Marianist school.
He was 13 at the time. The perpetrator wasn't convicted until years later. The school ordered Sebastián and his classmates to stay quiet. Sebastián reached out to then Cardinal Bergoglio, but was disappointed when he was instead met only by a bishop.
Those meetings were with the bishop at that time, Mario Poli. He was acting on behalf of the Catholic community, led then by Cardinal Bergoglio. I remember two things in particular. First, in the end they told me, as representatives of the church, that they supported the Marianist school. They accepted that the school acknowledged responsibility for my case, which dated back many years, but effectively let it go unpunished. Not only did they allow that to pass, They also chose to look the other way when it came to the fact that the Marianist brothers had tried to silence the victims.
Y esta congregación de los hermanos marianistas la estuviera haciendo pretendiendo el silencio de las víctimas.
As a victim myself, that was a grave thing, completely unacceptable. More than that, the way they communicated with me in those meetings as a victim was utterly disrespectful, almost offensive in its insensitivity.
Francis admitted to failings in the church. He called for zero tolerance for abuse. Yet investigations are still often inconsistent and too slow. During his entire time serving as Pope, he never returned to Argentina. Some believe it was to avoid being politically instrumentalized in a divided society. Yet in the poor neighborhoods, many can understand his decision.
For me, it wasn't a sign of disregard, nor does it mean he didn't love us Argentinians. He went places he'd never been before. He was Pope to the world. We'd had him in Argentina for over 60 years.
After 12 years in the papal office, what will be the legacy of the first Latin American Pope? Did he meet people's expectations of him?
I believe he opened pathways, even knowing he wouldn't finish walking them himself. He paved the way for the Church to keep going, and for the next Pope, inspired by him, to continue transforming the Church for the better.
A Pope who forged pathways. Francis leaves behind a church in change, a transformation Father Toto wants to continue, a church for everybody, regardless of background, wealth, skin color, or sexuality. One that opens its doors to everyone.